today I gotta go on a shopping run, go get some chicken and some beef and stuff. I don't think the beef's ready yet, but guy has to order it in because I want a grass-fed stuff. So one person left a comment today and they asked, if progressive overload is how you build muscle, why not train heavy all the time? Like, why not just do that all the time? Because doesn't that make the most amount of sense? And I know most of you guys have heard my response to this because it is in all my videos and it's the reason why I actually vary up rep ranges. But the fact is that progressive overload can happen at any rep range. It doesn't just mean 4 or 5 reps, and that's the big mistake most people make. Train the muscles, not the joints. Although it's very important to do heavy from time to time, really heavy weight, the thing is that just because you're doing 5 reps once in a while doesn't mean you need to do 5 reps all the time. And one thing I have found, and because I went periods of time where I didn't do that heavy for long periods of time because of maybe I was doing too much hockey or I injured myself through a sport or something like that, and it just wasn't the right time to be challenging the body through super heavy weight. I did try progressive overload through higher rep ranges, and that still works. So say you're getting 225 on the bench for 20 reps, and then you go to 230 pounds and you're getting that for 20 reps, that is still progressive overload, and that will still cause an adaptive response in the body. Anytime you are going to failure within a period of 1 minute to 2 minutes, okay, and it can be general depending on the person because that's the creatine energy source is used up during that time, and glycogen. Anytime you're hitting failure in those ranges, you will cause a muscle adaptation, and different fibers will be hit depending on the rep range you're using. But the bottom line is it's still muscle mass. It's still a challenge. So whenever you challenge those muscles, you're going to cause muscle growth and strength endurance. And of course, depending on the rep range will depend which one is affected the most, right? But the problem is a lot of people out there think that, oh, because doing 5 reps might affect the fast twitch fibers the most, then there's no point to doing the other rep ranges. And that's just not true, because if you use everything as a synergy, if you use different rep ranges together as a synergy, you will notice that you'll get a much greater result overall in strength endurance, and in muscle mass if you use different rep ranges. If you go heavy every single workout, at some point the damage that's caused to the joints and the tissue will be too much, and your body won't be able to recover from it, and you will tear something or get an injury. So this is why it's important to give your body little breaks, and while you're doing that break, you're going to maintain your coordination with the higher reps, and you're going to also maintain blood flow to the area, which will increase healing, and you will also hit those endurance fibers with the higher repetitions while the fast twitch fibers are recovering, and this will cause an overall anabolic response in the body, rather than you just sitting on your butt and doing nothing, and then the body says, okay, I guess I'll adapt to doing nothing now. each person will have a different tolerance to how many days off they should have and all that kind of stuff. But the fact is that I found for myself and for a lot of people that I trained over the years that when they did higher reps in between the heavy days, they recovered better, they had better overall results, they got leaner at the same time as more muscle mass. So that's really bodybuilding, right? Bodybuilding is about putting on muscle mass and not putting on excessive fat. The thing is, you have to take all these things into consideration, right? So progressive overload happens at every rep range. You have to remember that. If you're doing 20 reps, 30 reps, 40 reps, as long as you are increasing in the amount of weight that you can do for that rep range, you will gain some muscle. Now, there's a point of diminishing return, and I found the point of diminishing return for me was sets over 50 felt like it was a bit too much endurance related. Unless, of course, I was doing more isolation type exercises or exercises that required me to really concentrate a different way to feel the muscle. But for the most part, I found anything over 50 reps was a little bit too much into the endurance range, because at that point you're starting to hit well over a minute sometimes for the set, maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes. You know, at that point it starts to become different, although you can still make some muscle mass gains. I'm not wiping it off the table altogether. You know, it could still work, but at the same time I found the most ideal ranges were anywhere from 5 reps to 35 reps. In that area I found I got the most results overall, right? So this is the thing. So don't worry about going heavy all the time. Heavy once a week, once every 2 weeks might be enough. Even heavy once a month for some people. It just depends on your genetics. It depends on what you feel your body is responding to. But also, more importantly, it depends on your injuries and how your body responds to that, because the first priority has to be avoiding injuries. And sometimes it doesn't matter how smart a training technique might seem. If you're going into a certain rep range and you're getting injured, that's going to delay your progress more than anything. So you need to take that into account. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to grow. That just means maybe you don't need to do that rep range in order to grow. Maybe your body's telling you that you need to stay with a little bit of a higher rep range, and it's okay. So I'm open to all these types of things. It's not like I'm saying you have to do it this way. I'm just saying these are the experiments that I found work for me, and they may also work for you. The fact that you have to go heavy all the time, under most circumstances, I found that not to be true. And I found that the guys that do go heavy all the time, super heavy, like, I mean, they're always straining in the 5 rep range and stuff, they aren't necessarily the biggest. And you'll notice that when you see powerlifters or you see guys in your gym and stuff, sometimes you'll see guys just staying in those rep ranges and they're not necessarily the biggest. And the thing is too, when you take them and you give them a lesser weight, sometimes like you give them, say they're doing something for, like say they're doing 315 on the bench for, you know, sets of 4 all the time, and then you give them 225 on the bench, they don't always beat the bodybuilder that isn't doing 315 and the guy that's sticking at 225 all the time. Sometimes they don't beat that person in reps. Sometimes the bodybuilder can actually just totally kill them in the endurance in that area, right? So it depends on what sweet rep range is the one that is most dominantly catering to the muscle fibers you have. That is a very profound comment I just made right there. So really bookmark that, because each person may find that there is the sweet spot of rep ranges for them. One person it might be 20 reps, another person it might be 12, another person it might be 5. And as a natural bodybuilder, I think it's good to hit the 5 rep mark once in a while with that overall system type of crunch, you know, like the squat or the deadlift or the shrug or whatever it is you choose to do with the heavy weight. But for the most part, even if you saw me do the heavy weight with the 315, you'll notice that I was doing bent over rows with 315 for around 15 reps. So I wasn't doing it for 5 reps or something. So, you know, heavy weight doesn't always mean that it has to be in the 5 rep range, just so you know. And even when I'm doing squats at 4 plates, I'm still 10 reps and above. So the fact is that it doesn't have to be in this 5 rep range all the time. And if you're going to do the 5 rep range, you can do that here and there. And I'd recommend trying it here and there as long as you can do it safely. But always remember, progressive overload can happen at all rep ranges, and that is all that's necessary. It's just you hitting failure with that muscle in order to grow. That's it. Share my stuff.
You have to think together. If that gun sound when you're good.
Yeah, exactly.
If that gun sound.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.